are made behind the scenes. This is going to be on Josh's BitChute channel. Is it World Alternative Media or is it at Wham on BitChute? What's the
World Alternative Media. Go to World Alternative Media on BitChute. They have a better search function now, so you're actually able to find it. But if you have any issues, if it doesn't come up for any reason, then you can search videos and search channels. So click the drop down and click channel to search. Same with it'll be on library/Odyssey and posted on Float. It'll probably eventually at a later time show up on Rumble because I post things late there. And I'm not a big fan of Rumble because when you go to Rumble, Reuters is on there, and that's a huge red flag immediately right off the get-go. It's like, oh, well, they're obviously co-opted. Parler is terrible. I'm sorry, but I hate it. I went on there. I just couldn't. It's promoted by CIA, Operation Mockingbird, Fox News. So I'm like, that's definitely not good. Though I saw, Tim, that you're moving to Parler and Float and a couple other places.
By moving there, I mean I have a blank profile that I've done nothing out and sent no post, and I've got 400 something people following me on Float and like 11 on Parler, and I, it's there more or less to reach like the right wing QAnon normies that just finally are waking up to that there's a deep state and things aren't the way they should be.
And
But
Dan Bongino, so that and look, I've met Dan Bongino. I've had dinner with Dan Bongino. He's a super nice guy, but at the end of the day, he's a diehard statist. Wish him well with his cancer and everything, and wish him well with his venture with Parler. But the issue is that he was Secret Service under Bush and Obama. Came out on Alex Jones years ago, but then got a really establishment career on Fox News and as a radio show host. And he spends most of his career now defending police. So, he supports the CIA, he supports the FBI, he supports the police. So obviously, it's not much I can really relate with him on. Him and Larry Elder both, because I've been able to spend a lot of time with Larry Elder. I've interviewed him on WAM before. And it's great when you talk about social justice warriors, but then he gets into, oh, well, the Iraq war was a great idea. And, police are great. And we need those strong men to keep this country afloat. I'm like, you mean, beat people into submission. All right.
When it's the same corrupt court system that is going to be, judging Trump and the same White House and probably, I think they're really going to go after him. So if he, doesn't win this term, which, obviously there's, that's a big if because, it looks like he's not, at least in the court of public opinion on this, that I think they're going to put his head in the stake and they're going to do whatever they can to try to, make an example out of him. So he should either try to pardon himself but, it's going to be the police and the corrupt system, especially in the Southern District of New York, that's going to absolutely put his head in the pike. Because I think the guy that runs the Southern District of New York is like Cyrus Vance Jr. His dad was Cyrus Vance, obviously, and Cyrus Vance was like huge big time globalist. Back in the Trilateral Commission. Now, I'm doing this without notes. I just know that in research 10 years ago that this guy's was a name that was just a bad dude. But anyways, we are about to get going on the Pfizer CEO cashing out big. This is some behind the scenes, more like bonus.
Tim, by the way, before we start, you are super white. You are like that Weird Al Yankovic song, White and Nerdy.
Yeah, I know. I might need to go take my one. I've got one light that is like way too close to me right now.
Yeah, it's like really, really bright. If you want to do that, I'll talk for a few moments.
You're good. You're good for talking. We know that.
All right. Yeah. What do I talk about? I've never been left in a position where I have to talk. Just kidding. Yeah. Well, and doesn't it kind of look like Tim's screen has a cactus giving the finger? I can't really give the finger anymore. I broke my finger in half recently here in Montenegro. As you can see, it's a little fat. It's been almost a month since I broke it, and it's not getting better. It's getting crooked, so I got to deal with that when I'm in Egypt. I'm heading to Egypt tomorrow. First to Turkey, then to Egypt, but it's a layover. I'm going to be in Egypt for about a month or two, and that's better. All right. Okay. Tim's testing the camera to make sure that he's not like insanely white and blending in with printer paper. But yeah, I'm going to Egypt tomorrow, and wish me luck on that. Traveling is a nightmare these days, and then I'll be reporting from there. And then in about a week, I'm going to be on Iranian television, national television, to talk about the U.S. election and rigging in the U.S. election. I think they'd like me there because I don't like Trump or Biden, and I'm not a fan of the way Trump has been trying to destroy Iran, just like I'm not a fan of how Biden has been trying to destroy Iran. So they always claim that Biden's like working with Iran with the Iran deal. It's complete nonsense. They're just trying to get them into submission and take advantage of them. But One trying to take advantage and bombing everything around them. The other one's trying to bomb everything around them. Is there a level? Yes, but
Oh no, my computer froze, or the stream froze. We're gonna get you back.
The stream.
Okay, we're back.
Am I good?
Yep, we're good.
All right. Was I freezing or was the
I think
stream
it was. I
freezing?
think it was the stream on my end. I think it was my internet, but we're up and running. We're still good.
Man, you got such a powerful internet that it seems to fuck up all the time. It looks you should be like screaming at your provider.
Yeah, I don't know what's. I mean, I'm sure. When I have a name, my Wi-Fi name is like Plandemic 1984. I think the other I have a guess one that's like Bill Gates did it or something. So I'm sure. And I used to have like an NSA. It was something like the NSA
Well,
spy man.
I changed
Yeah. So,
I changed the Airbnb Wi-Fi name to COVID 1984. We'll see if the next person staying here realizes that. But anyway,
okay. Yeah. If you want, if we want to get going
anyway,
on the
so
Pfizer CEO and okay.
all right. Behind the scenes stretches and like I'm like brain dead right now. It's late here. All right, let's do this. Okay, I'm gonna get the recording ready, and once we start, we cannot stop. We cannot edit, or else I will not get the video up at all ever. So, or we'll have to start completely from scratch. So hopefully everything goes well. All right, and a 3, 2. Hey everybody, Josh Erickson of World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by Tim Pachot, the Liberty Advisor, and we got a lot to go into today, and I'm going to share the screen with you guys so you can see what I'm looking at here. Pfizer CEO sold stock worth $5.6 million on the same day as a vaccine announcement. CEO Albert Bourla sold 132,508 shares at $41.94. It's pretty high per share, according to a Securities and Exchange Commission filing. And yes, this is NBC garbage news. We're going to break this down to a better extent and explain what this means. But first, I'll just go into the mainstream and then we'll break it down after. Pfizer Chief Executive Officer Albert Bourla sold company shares worth $5.56 million, according to a regulatory filing that showed the sale was made on Monday, the same day the drug maker reported positive data on its experimental COVID-19 vaccine, if you call that positive. 90% effective, they say. The company said on Wednesday the sale was part of a pre-announced trading plan adopted by Bourla on August 19th. Bourla sold 132,508 shares at $41.94 per share, according to a Securities and Exchange Commission filing late Tuesday. I do want to point out that when they say that they had pre-announced a trading plan, guys, the whole vaccine agenda was pre-planned too. So you're not going to get off the hook that easy, Mr. Bourla. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you obviously, this is obvious insider trading. I'm just saying that as myself, my own opinion. Of course, Tim is a certified financial planner, so we're not going to get him on record saying anything of the sort. But I do want to point out the Pfizer stock here. It shows at $38.22 right now. And this is a year to date that you're seeing on the screen. The last 5 days have been pretty active, to say the least. You could see it going from 36.40 all the way to 41.92. I mean, obviously extensive boom in the Pfizer. I mean, not compared to Bitcoin, of course. We're never talking on the scale of Bitcoin, but this was obviously planned for a long time. This was probably already in the works back in January and February. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but everything I've said so far this year has come true. And we are going to get into some other crazy stuff that I'm going to share the screen with after, because seriously, the news that's coming out right now is absolutely insanity. I mean, we're talking about forced vaccines on the near horizon and an obvious plan to force everyone into submission, or else what? We'll get into that soon. But first, Tim, what do you think of the Pfizer stock and these guys selling Pfizer right after they made the announcement that there's going to be a 90% effective vaccine, by that 90% effective at doing nothing, 10% chance of killing you? What do you think?
First off, thank you for giving me the out and saying that those were your opinions, so that way the SEC doesn't come after me. But I mean, just how easy of it if they were to try to insider trade, just allegedly, if they were to try to do something like this, and they had this plan back in August, and let's say they were getting all these trial rollouts, and then they let's say had the news that it was, let's say, hypothetically going to be bad news. I mean, could then the CEO just decide to wait a day to release that news, and he already had a pre-planned sell, so that way he'd win,
Right.
in that regard, or what's going on now. I mean, how easy is it for them to time it to the exact day of, oh, listen, because you're the one in control of all the variables. You're the one, not saying you as in you, but you being the,
Yeah.
Pfizer. If you're in control
Me, I'm Pfizer.
of when everything is going to be released, then you can then ultimately sort of control your destiny. And especially, I mean,
Right.
I would like to have additional questions. I mean, obviously, I'm not like a medical doctor or anything over here, but in terms of, what does 90% success even mean? Does that mean that you had to go inject them with the coronavirus? Well, they've never successfully fully isolated the coronavirus. So that means you're injecting them with the coronavirus and a bunch of other crap. And I would highly recommend people check out the interview we had down at Red Pill with Dr. Andrew Kaufman for more commentary on that from someone that actually knows everything about this, not just,
And I
my.
just want to point out from the AstraZeneca trials, we've already seen people die from the trials, and multiple people go brain dead with severe neurological problems. So let's just imagine they perfect that. So they perfect it so maybe you're not dropping dead from it, though. Maybe, it could happen. And maybe you're not getting obvious signs of neurological damage right off the hop. But if you're taking it once a month, like a lot of them are saying you will have to do to go out in public, which we'll get into later, then that could point to signs of you getting stupider and stupider as time goes on, and being more easily able to be taken advantage of. If you don't get stupid, if you don't get the Logan's Run light on your hand that tells you when your time is up and tracks you everywhere, then you can't eat at restaurants, you can't have a bank account, etc. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I would like to know, what does success really mean? I mean, does success mean? I mean, for a lot of people who get coronavirus, I mean, all it really means for them is that they, a lot of them are asymptomatic, which means is another way of saying not sick. A lot of people are, aren't even that sick. And obviously, there's, people that died, and we get into the whole dying with it versus dying from it and everything that we've covered, a million times over on this program before. But what does it really mean? I mean, okay, you gave it to some people and then they didn't get that sick. Well, a lot of people that get it don't get that sick to begin with. So what does 90% success means? And so a lot of people that get it are asymptomatic. And so can you just get their vaccine, and then that just shows you're asymptomatic? And so I don't really trust who's setting up these. I don't really trust, any vaccines, but also especially don't trust, these ones that are part of Warp Speed, which I guess this one technically isn't part of Warp Speed. And a lot of liberals are like, oh, this wasn't a part of Donald
Wait,
Trump's.
wait, wait, Tim. Are you telling me that you don't get 45 vaccines a year? I mean, you're not doing your part for society if you're not getting 45. Actually, no, sorry, it's not 45, 33. Huh? You see what I did there? 33 vaccines a year.
So is in terms of like what their schedule would be, but yeah, of course it's 33. But yeah, and then as in terms of how long this would even be relevant for. So, okay, great, you get it now, and then you've got to go and get another one 5 weeks later, and actually it's not just another one, it's another two, and then it mutates again, and you got to go get another one, because they're saying that it only stays really, the antibodies. I mean, first off, nobody really knows, but second off, from at least from what I've seen, it looks like, or what they're telling us, not that I believe everything they're telling us, but it would only be about 5 weeks. And so if it's only going to be about 5 weeks, then that means that you'd have to constantly keep getting this, and then the rollout of this, and then bringing this back to the stock market. I mean, it's not like even if they get the rubber stamp today that everything, okay, the crown approves this vaccine or whatnot. It's not like everything's going to be back to normal tomorrow. I mean, there's a huge rollout of this. I mean, I myself am not going to be getting the vaccine underneath any circumstance. Basically any circumstance, I'm not getting this vaccine. So with that said, there's probably a lot of other people like us, certainly our listeners, and everyone needs to, come up with their own decision. Unfortunately, like even my own grandmother's like, well, I just need to wait to see what they say. I'm like, well, what they're going to say. They're going to say it's safe and effective. You've got to do your part to, to not die of this. But, for myself, I'm definitely not getting it. A lot of other people probably aren't getting it. I don't know what the numbers are, but it seems like that number is growing and growing and growing. Luckily, so there is a silver lining in this. But even if everyone who wants it were to try to get it, it's not like this is probably going to even be done even by this time next year, which means that for a lot of
Mhm.
people a lot of the sheep out there who believe in everything, obviously not like our listeners, but it's not going to be, everyone's out flying on airplanes and everything is back, going to movie theaters and going to sports games. And hopefully by now people realize that, basically a lot of sports have just basically just turned into male soap operas at this point. And for people who are out there, I mean,
Well,
I am an
and
athlete
and let's keep
myself,
in
and
mind
yeah.
that in mhm. Sorry, it's kind of glitchy. Let's keep in mind that in Nazi Germany they had the Olympics. People were going out and doing, going to sports events. They were having fun. There was television. There was great films, actually really good films in Nazi Germany if you ignore the propaganda crap. But let's see. Give me your papers. Oh, don't worry. We're just putting them in nice communities for Jewish people, just nice communities. And a lot of the people that are speaking out against the government, it's for their safety. They get free rent. They get free food. It's great. It's like a little fun camp, like Hillary Clinton says. It's a fun camp for adults. And I mean, I really do want to bring up a point because you mentioned like how many people are dying with it versus people who are dying from it. And I did make a post a while back ago that I did do a video on. I do want to point out that, as I've mentioned, considering what the CDC says himself, about 94% of all COVID deaths are actually from something else that COVID may or may not have triggered. Only 6% are actually from COVID. That brings the deaths down to about 70,800 people. And let's face it, that seems like a margin of error at this point, because 70,800 people, you don't die from a virus, you die from what the virus gives you. But with that said, according to the World Health Organization, 650,000 people die a year from respiratory illnesses stemming from the flu. Imagine the number you would get if you counted all people who died with the flu like they have with COVID.
Or, or imagine if they're
70,800,
all
I'm reading from a post that I did before. If 70,000,
I would say, imagine if they're all,
what's that?
if they're all by you and they all got chimneys, coming into then they, even more respiratory problems. But for those of you in the pre-show who heard us talking about the,
yeah, before we started
chimneys,
recording, I have my windows open because we had a mold problem from a leakage, and now there's smoke coming in my window. It's terrible.
and
But
if you
anyway,
guys were on
I do
flow,
want to
you
point
could have
out,
heard that live,
as I
sorry.
said, imagine. Yeah, imagine. Let me find out where I was here. Imagine the number you would get if you counted all people who died with the flu, like they have with COVID. If 70,800 people died from respiratory ailments that stemmed from COVID, and there's 650,000 people who died from respiratory ailments that stemmed from the flu, if we consider that as a mere 6% of the total number who died with the flu, that would put that number at 10,833,333. Nearly 11 million people die with the flu on average each year based on the rough estimates, but that wouldn't benefit the government to put out numbers.
You're frozen on my end. And I know I did talk with somebody before that said that the
They all
freeze.
misdiagnose people with. We're good. We're good.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. You're just good. You're just bad on the live stream. So anyway, I'm gonna bring up on the screen here more because I think this is important. This might freeze for Tim, but it'll be good for us. Anyway, like I said, this was a Pfizer stock. And by the way, if you want to become a client of Tim Pachotes, you can go to thelibertyadvisor.com. It's linked below in the videos. Make sure to check the links below the video. I want to bring up this article from last August. It says, "No jab, no plane." Anti-vaxxers who could refuse to get a coronavirus jab could be banned from traveling overseas, as well as restaurants and public transport. Federal government has agreed to buy potential coronavirus vaccine from UK. The vaccine being developed at Oxford University is expected late this year. Prime Minister Scott Morrison today said he will make jab as mandatory as possible. The government will discuss ways to make sure the vaccine take up hits 95%. Keep in mind, we talked about this for years that it was going to happen. This is from August 19th. We talked about this for years. People called us crazy. And we said it would be tied into some kind of social credit system. That's exactly what we're seeing on full scale. Here's a National Geographic article I've gone into before. COVID-19 vaccines could become mandatory. Here's how it might work. After a COVID-19 vaccine is available, you may need to get inoculated to go to the office, attend a sporting event, or get a seat at a restaurant. This is what it was all about, my friends. It was always about tying you to a social credit score. They're not going to force vaccinate you at gunpoint. you just can't do anything if you don't get it. It's going to be tied to your social credit like a Chinese style social credit. And going back, Henry Kissinger met with Mao Zedong in the early 1970s, creating an artificial alliance with the Chinese government for trade and monopolizing them. Therefore, going forward, we could go to Zbigniew Brzezinski and the head of the Trilateral Commission, propping up the Trilateral Commission and promoting this combination between the United States and China, where he spoke of a technocratic superstate. You fast forward to the social credit system we have today, and this is exactly what you get. You get forced vaccines under the guise of being voluntary, where you can't have a bank account, can't go to school, can't have a job, can't travel, can't go to restaurants, can't do anything without it. And your kids might get taken away if you don't get it and don't force them to get it. Of course, we can't forget that Anthony Fauci is the head of the National Institute for Allergies and Infectious Diseases, which got millions of dollars in grants to study coronavirus in bats at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. And they were studying coronavirus in bats that was 96% similar to the novel coronavirus. And keep in mind that, as it says in this article, NIAID committed $3.7 million over 6 years for research on bat coronaviruses in China, according to a report in Newsweek. The research also included gain of function work, which involves manipulating viruses in the lab to explore their potential for infecting humans. A big part of these studies were how to spread it to humans, my friends. At what point do we not wake up to how obvious this is, that it's a bioweapon that failed, so they had to start making up numbers, which then makes up the 70,800 people that apparently died from COVID, not just with it, of the 1.2 million or so. And then on top of that, they had to basically rig everything because they were hoping it would spread better. And then leaks come out of the Canadian government showing that they're getting prepared for a mutated version that they obviously created called COVID-21, which a lot of people are saying, are now hinting at. They've locked down everything as we predicted they would. I said they'd lock down the first time. I said they'd lock down a second time back before they locked down the first time. And people call me crazy. It's all tied to the social credit system and technocracy. This is the cashless society. This is the end game. This is the civil war, and it's the civil war that is the distraction from the war for our minds that they are fighting every single day until we fall to heel. Tim, before we kind of wrap up this video, how do you feel about like this rollout of a centrally planned cashless society? I know we've gone into it lots of times before, but good to always go into again.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the main thing that I've been, warning about, and probably one of the main things that actually kept me from investing into Bitcoin earlier on is that I thought that Bitcoin could be used as a mark of the beast technology. And this was again like in 2011-ish when I was thinking that. So I mean, anyone can, Monday morning quarterback that now. But that technology is going to be used in central bank digital currencies. I mean, don't trust us. I mean, go to, not that you should trust, the Bank of Japan and European Central Bank or the Bank of International Settlements or the Federal Reserve or, the Bank of England. But all these guys are talking about having central bank digital currencies that's going to be tracked, traced, or surveilled. And then you've got, Kamala Harris. I did a show with a Tim and Yoshi show with my dog 5 months ago where Kamala Harris had proposed a $10,000 per month basic income for people making less than $120,000 per year. So if you are making $120,000 a year, why would you work if you can get $10,000, quote unquote, for free? And so the amount of bad ideas these people have is never ending. But, it's clear that they're going to, the government never gives you anything. They go and what Harry Brown says, they break your legs and give you a crutch. And so what they're going to do is they've already broken everyone's legs. They're going to give them this free dopamine in the form of cash that they need. And then that cash that they need, they're going to do whatever the government says they're going to do, or else they're not going to get the cash because they need the cash. So the best thing to do is to get off the government teeth, get off the government slave grid, be self-sufficient as much as possible. I mean, I'm not there yet, but every day I'm doing, more and more to get there in every little regard. And a journey of 1,000 miles, starts with one step. So if you never take a step, you're never going to get there. Right. But who is taking steps are the globalists and the deep state and the permanent state and all these, trilateral commission type people and the Klaus Schwabs of the world. They literally, none of this is really speculation at this point. Like there's certain things that I say and might say, okay, this is more conspiratorial or more conjecture. Central bank digital currencies coming down the pipeline with universal basic income that's going to be tied to a vaccine is something that I'm sure as shit is going to happen. That absolutely is going to happen. And people need to be exposing this. And it had nothing to do with, oh, well, we have to look Trump because Trump's going to stop it. No, Trump is actually part of this. Trump is advocating the vaccine rollout, touting the vaccine. Just the other day said, oh, this whole Pfizer thing, it's 90% effective. And, this is great news for the stock market. Literally is like what his tweet was. But the average person doesn't care about the stock market. They care about, what's around them, their family. Can they feed their family? Well, a lot of people are not going to be able to feed their family. And the government's going to take that, weaponize it against them, weaponize it against people like me and you. And part of what the rollout is, and this is getting back to Brookings Institute, is that they were initially going to say, okay, we're going to give everybody, $1,000 to get the vaccine, but we're going to give you $200 off the bat. And you won't get the other 800 until 80% of the U.S. population gets the vaccine. So that way they're going to turn everybody in. They're going to gamify this, turn it into. These people are brilliant. They're not messing around here. They have guys who have top level IQs and
the government's inefficient, but the people, the evil geniuses, the evil misers are definitely brilliant. The government in itself is incredibly inefficient. That's why this virus that was supposed to spread as much as it was supposed to didn't end up spreading that much. And they had to basically at the last second put all this stuff together, but they had the finished climactic plan written a long time ago, my friends.
And then
a lot of us have been warning about it for many years.
Yeah, and part of the plan, you got the getting back to the Pfizer CEO. Then one of the points I meant to bring up is there is something called buy the rumor, sell the news. And so the rumor is the vaccine's coming, and then by the time the vaccine's already there, then the news has then peaked, and then people then sell that news. And so a lot of times when people are waiting for something, but if people are waiting for something, the market's already priced that in. So by the time it happens, then people use that as a selling opportunity. Just like with Bitcoin right now, we're very, very close to 16,000 right now in Bitcoin. Not to dive into that right now, but that's going to be something where, if there's some big news that's coming out, and I'm not saying that there is, but let's say Ethereum 2.0 is going to be released. And again, this is all like hypothetical speculation. By the time it is released, you might get some people piling in at the very, very end, but then you might see some of the whales start to sell because it's a buy the rumor, sell the news. This is all, it's still a young market, so who the heck knows, so I'll give myself an out on that. But what they're doing, but what the CEO did is he sold out 62% of his shares on that news, and it's very easy for him to be able to time those releases, and because he controls the information, and controlling information is valuable. That's why the richest people in the world spend lots of money on information, and that's why if you guys want to pledge some money to Josh and hit him up on his Subscribe Star, or giving him Bitcoin donations or something, he's getting important information out, and whether you agree with him or everything or not, he could have helped get information out about how the election was rigged, but we're off YouTube, so sorry, we're not able to do that anymore, at least on the World Alternative Media. I'm still on there, but it's just the central bank digital currency is coming. The technocracy is coming. It's already here, and it's going to get a lot worse unless people stand up to this immediately. So everyone who was taking victory laps under Trump, people taking victory under Biden, you guys are going to take a victory lap in a concentration camp is where it's coming next. So, have fun.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No. It's called a fun camp. Internment camps. They're just fun camps. They're like 5-star hotels, says the news. It's really disturbing at the point at which we have come to today, but it's something that a lot of us have been preparing for, and we were all called crazy for years, and here we are, and it's really unfortunate. If you want to become a client of Tippa Choate, you could go to thelibertyadvisor.com. He's a certified financial planner with awesome results, and we've been spotlighting a lot of the great results for a long time here at World Alternative Media, so make sure to find that below, and also join our newsletter at www.iamband.com. Helps keep us alive. It only takes email to put it in on that website. It takes 2 seconds to do. We won't spam you. It doesn't cost money. And of course, on BitChute, hit the like button and share on social media. Hit the notification bell. Same with Library/Odyssey, and same as Float.app, which this was originally streamed on, thanks to Tim over at the Liberty Advisor. Make sure to go subscribe to the Liberty Advisor on BitChute, as well as Odyssey and Library as well, because he's posting a lot of stuff that you don't see on WAM over there.
Yeah, just got a bunch of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff
to. Yeah, just got all my BitChute caught up.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the way. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry, there's a bit of a delay, so it's awkward. But and it's, again, like you mentioned, pledging, GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribe Star makes a huge difference. It's actually scary because about 50% of people pulled their pledges after I got kicked off of YouTube because they weren't willing to go to BitChute or Library. It's really, really scary when that is even a possibility that people would go, oh, you're bankrupted and you're living out of a backpack, and now you're kicked off of YouTube, your main way of reaching people. Now is the time to pull our pledges. And look, I really appreciate every pledge, and I appreciate the pledges they gave before. But the idea of pulling a pledge right as I got kicked off, because I got kicked off of YouTube because they weren't willing to use their pointer finger and go click on another video. I mean, it's pretty concerning to me that we're going in that direction. But anyway, I want to wrap it up there. There's also a Bitcoin address below, as well as a Cointree link, which allows you to donate in any cryptocurrency for the most part. I have a whole bunch of cryptocurrencies there anyway, including Monero if you want to stay on the down low. We didn't edit this report because I want to get it up same day, because I have a flight to Egypt, because again, I'm a nomad. I gave up my home. I gave up all my possessions to be able to do this. And the time has come that I have to go to a different country, from Montenegro to Cairo, Egypt, in order to be able to have a freedom-oriented place to stay. I know Egypt doesn't sound like that, but so far they're not locking down anything. They said they're going to take Sweden's approach. They're not going to have any restrictions at all. Only 1% of people wearing masks and that kind of stuff. So that's important, and also is insanely cheap. So I'll be seeing you in the next video from Cairo, Egypt. I might have some older videos going up and processing in the next day or so, but otherwise I'll be in Cairo, Egypt, and maybe we'll get some videos of Tim's up on the BitChute and Library channel that he did previously as well. So anyway, I really appreciate you joining us, Tim. We will have a lot more on the subject coming up soon. This is go time, my friends. This is the end game. This is the time we've all been waiting for. Instead of being sad, let it energize you. Let it energize you. Live free. Be free. Don't die on your knees. This is your chance to prove yourself as a free, independent human being. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Anyway, I appreciate you going into this with us, Tim. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdsson and Tim Pachot signing out from World.